Hello, first grade. Good morning. How are you all doing at home? We are now on our week 14 and probably would be our last week of having our lessons. So, let's brace ourselves and welcome our day enthusiastically. Once again, this is your teacher Marv of New Vision International School. All right, let's get it all done. Okay, so what are you going to do is to prepare the materials needed for our lesson. And what are those? Of course, you need to bring out your math textbook, your pencil, and eraser. Do you have all of these materials? Great! So, let's begin. I want you to focus and learn each slide with me. Let's take a look of our lessons last week. Let's have our review. Okay? So, always remember that in this lesson, you should always learn and know how to identify equal shares and divide circles and rectangles or any kinds of shapes into equal shares. And when it comes to partition, any kinds of shapes like circles, squares, and rectangles into 2 and 4 equal shares, you need to describe the shares using the words halves, fourths, and quarters, and use the phrases half of, fourth of, and quarter of. Then you can describe the whole as 2 of or part of the shares. And therefore, you can understand how you are going to do each of our activity later on. Did you understand? Okay, very good. Let's have our essential understanding that we need to always remember. Okay? Let's read with me. A shape can be divided into equal-sized shares in different ways. Always also notice and remember that when you are identifying equal shares, you need to apply your knowledge of shapes and of equality as you describe shapes that are partitioned into 2 and 4 equal shares. So let's take a look of this example. We have here 2 circles. The first circle is that always remember shapes can be divided into parts or shares. Sometimes the shares are equal, just like this example. And sometimes the shares are not equal, just like this. When you say not equal, it means other shares are bigger than the other. Or shall we say other size are smaller or bigger than the other. Okay, so how about this example on the right side? Let's take another look of this. This rectangle is divided into equal shares or equal size. So let's count how many sizes are there or how many shares are there. We have 1, 2. So you can read this one as 2 of the whole. Understood? Okay, so the shares are the same size. And there are how many equal shares? It's 2. Very good. How about in another side? It shows not equal or not equally divided. How did you know? Because the size are actually not the same with the first example. Like in here, the other part is smaller than the other, and the bigger part is smaller than the other part. Unlike this example, it shows equality, while this example shows inequality. So we can read this one as not equal. Therefore, the shapes are not equal because the size are not equal. And it has 0 equal shares or 0 equal parts. Did you get this example? Good job. Okay, let's go to another example. Let's try to check this. We have 2 examples here. The squares that are divided equally and the other square that is not divided equally. So what we are going to circle is that we need to just circle the picture that shows 2 equal shares. Let's check the size. Is this size is the same with the other size? Yes. How about the other example? Is this size the same with another size? No. So this one is wrong and this one is correct. So 2 equal shares is this example. How about in another one? Okay, we are going to circle the picture that shows 4 equal shares. When you say 4 equal shares, it means the square or the shape is divided into 4 equal size or 4 equal parts. Let's count of this one. 1 part, second part, third part, and fourth part. It means, and then we are going to check if each parts are equally divided. Very good, it is. So you can put a circle of it, like this one. How about the other one? How many parts are there? It's just 2. And when you try to notice this one, the other part is bigger and the other part is not. So this is wrong. So the 4 equal shares goes to this example. Did you understand? Very good. Now here's another example of equal parts. No matter how many the parts are there or the shares are there, as long as it is equally divided, it is what we call equal parts. But we have to focus on halves or fourths. And fourths is also called equal to, or a quarter to. Okay, now the first example is that we need to find the 2 equal parts. Which of these examples is the 2 equal parts? We need to count if it's 2. Okay, 1, 2. Very good. So this one is the answer of this question. How about the 4 equal parts? Which of the rest of the shapes given here is the 4 equal parts or divided equally by 4? So you just need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this is the answer. How about the 3 equal parts? We have 2 remaining shapes, but we just need to choose the 3 equal parts. Which do you think is the correct answer? This one or this one? Great! This one. Good job. Students, let's move on to our next example. Here, we are just going to count how many equal shares or how many equal parts are there. Do you know how to count 1 until 100? Very good. I know you can still remember. So let's try to count. Number 1. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. we have 6 equal parts here. How about in number 2? Can you count with me? Great. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. How many equal parts are there? 4. You can write it down here. Good job. How about in number 3? This seems many, but let's just count it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many are there? 8 equal parts. Very good. How about the number 4? We have 1, 2, 3. Very good. You can write down number 3 here. So how many equal parts are there in number 4? There are 3 equal parts. You can look down and try to decide whether the picture is equally divided or not equally divided. If it's equally divided, you can write equal down here. You can see the line. And if it's not, you can also write unequal and then write it down here. So, I'll give you 1 minute to answer that one. Start now. Great. Okay, let's check your answer. How about in number 5? Look at the size of each part. Does it have the same? Yes. So you are going to write here equal. Very good. How about in number 6? Very good. It is equal. How about in number 7? Can you try to look at it carefully and decide if the other parts have the same size with the first part? It's a no-no, so your answer should be unequal. Very good. How about in number 8? Of course. Great job. It is equal. How about in number 9? Others are bigger than the other. So, how do we call it if it's not equal? Unequal. Very good. How about in number 10? Can you look at it? Easy. It's equal. Excellent, students. Okay, I know that your answers are the same with mine. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, here we are going to think. What do you think it is our next lesson? If you are with your books, I know you know what page are we, right? Okay, so let's try to read our lesson for today. We are now on Unit 15, Lesson 3. Understand halves and fourths. You can open your book on page 829 and we will end at 832. So, before we begin, we need to, of course, read together our objective. Okay, 1, 2, 3, start. For today's lesson, I can tell that more equal shares of the same whole creates smaller shares. Very good. Okay. Now in this lesson, it's actually a little bit different than the previous one, because in here we need to tell, okay, and creates. We need to understand that we need to understand how to compare equal shares of the same whole to understand the relationship between the number and size of the equal shares. And I want you to apply what you have learned about halves and fourths or quarter two in the previous lesson. Okay? And you are also going to draw and diagrams the model problems about equal shares. How about when you divide any shapes? Okay? when partition circles and rectangles or any other shapes into 2 and 4 equal shares, you have to describe the shares using the words. Can you still remember our vocabulary words? Of course. Halves. You need to use the words halves, fourths, and quarters, and use the phrases have to. If it's halves, you can use have to, and if it's fourths, you can use fourth of. Okay? And if it's quarters, you can say quarter of. And then in that way, you can describe the whole as 2 of the shares or 4 of the shares. Are you now ready? Okay, we are going also to use halves and fourths to understand that if a shape is divided into more equal shares, the shares are smaller. Again, I will repeat that when you use halves and fourths, okay, to understand our lesson, you need to always remember that the shares that is divided into equal parts, okay, are the shares that have the smaller shares. Okay? And we need to also read and understand more of our essential understanding of the lesson. Remember that when dividing a whole into equal pieces, the smaller the pieces, the greater the number of pieces or parts. The larger the pieces, the fewer the number of parts. Understood? Okay. So, let's have here our new vocabulary words. Everybody say halves. Again, say it. Halves or half of. Very good. Okay, when you say halves or half of, it is 2 of the shares. How many? 2. I will underline this one. Okay, 2 of the shares. Right. Okay. Here's the example. When you say halves, halves are the 2 equal parts that make a whole. Like for example, this. And another example, this. Why? Because it is divided into 2 equal parts and that makes a whole. Okay? How about the other one? Down, these halves, this one and this one. Okay? And how are you going to partition it? Easy. Just do like this, or like this, or like this. Understood? Okay, very good. Another vocabulary word. Everybody say fourths or fourth of. Again, say it. Fourths or fourth of. What? How do you understand this? When you say fourths or fourth of, it means 4 of the shares. Okay? Or you can also say equal of or 4 of the shares. Okay. Here's our example. Okay. This one, when you say fourths, are the 4 equal parts that make a whole. So this is the 4 equal parts, 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 and the 4 equal parts. How are you going to partition shapes into 4? Okay, just do like this, vertical and horizontal, and count 1, 2, 3, 4. This is correct. This one half, vertical and then horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is check. How about this? Vertical and horizontal. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is check. And this one, and like this is also check. Okay? Did you understand now? Okay. Here. Now, we have two pizzas here, right? This is the first pizza and the second pizza. Okay, these pizzas are the same size. Do you agree? Yes. It has the same size. Now, this another example. We are going to divide each pizza. The first one, we are going to divide it into 4 equal parts. So this one. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Understood? Okay, this pizza is cut into 4 equal shares or 4 equal parts with the same size. And each share is 1/4 of the whole. If you're going to eat this part, this is what we call 1/4. And if you will eat this one, it becomes half of the whole. Understood? Very good. So blank equals shares, and then this is 4. So you are going to write here, this pizza is divided into how many? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 equal shares. And you can call that one fourths. Understood? Very good. How about down? This pizza is cut into how many? Count it. 1, 2. So 2 equal shares or 2 equal parts with the same size. And each share is 1/2 of the whole. If you are going to eat this one, you actually eat the 1/2 or half of the whole pizza. Okay? So you can write here how many equal shares? 2. And you can read this one as halves. So can you tell me which one is smaller equal shares? The pizza that is divided into 4 equal shares or the pizza that is divided into 2 equal shares? This one has the smaller shares. And another question, which of this pizza is divided into a larger equal share? When you say larger, it means bigger. Equal shares. Of course, this one, the pizza that is divided into 2 equal shares. Can you look at it? This is just a 1/4, but this is a 1/2. 2 of 1/4 is actually 1/2. So if you will divide your pizza into 2 compared to pizza that is divided into 4, the 2 equal shares has a larger equal shares, while the 4 equal shares is the smaller one. Okay? Very good. Okay. Another example that we will take is that the pizza with fourths has smaller shares, while the pizza with halves has fewer shares. Understood? So this is the pizza that is divided into halves. It has a larger shares. And the pizza that is divided into 4, it's smaller. Can you see? You can compare this and this. So this one is smaller. This one is bigger. Again, what you are going to remember is that the smaller the pieces, the greater the shares will be. And the larger the pieces, the fewer the number of shares. Understood? So here, look at this example. I can show a hole. So this is a hole, right? And this is also a hole, right? And this is also a hole. Can you name the shapes? A circle. Very good. A square. Excellent. And a rectangle. Good job. Now, I can show you how to make halves of this circle. How? You just need to cut it into half. Like this. You have 2 shares. You have the square. Cut it into half. then you will have two equal parts. And the rectangle, cut it into halves, and then you will have two equal shares. Now, how can you cut this circle into four? Can you show me how to cut it into four or a quarter? Then you can just do like this. See? This is a 1/4, a 1/4, a 1/4, a 1/4 of a whole. This is also another one of a whole, another one of a whole, another one of a whole, another one of a whole. Put it together, it becomes a whole square. And this one are just the pieces. This is 1 pieces out of 4. So this is a 1/4, a 1/4, a 1/4, and a 1/4. And it makes a whole rectangle. Understood? Very good. Okay. Now here, you can just, these rectangles are the same size. The first example and the second example of rectangles are actually the same size. Now, the rectangle with more equal shares has smaller shares, but the rectangle with fewer equal shares has larger shares. Example, this rectangle is divided into 2. So this has 2 equal shares, and we call it halves, and it has a larger equal share. How about the other one? 1, 2, 3, 4. This rectangle is divided into 4. Okay, you have 4 equal shares. You can call it fourths, and it has smaller equal shares. Is it clear to you now? Is it clear? Very good. Now, I would like to encourage you to open on page 829. Okay? Open your book on page 829. Are you there? Great. Okay, let's read the question. Okay? Together. 1, 2, 3, start. Which is larger? 1/2 or 1/4 of the same sandwich? We have 2 sandwiches here. The first and the second. The first sandwich you need to divide into halves, and the second sandwich you need to divide into fourths or quarters. Okay? So the question is that after you divide these 2 sandwiches, you need to decide which of this sandwich has a larger equal shares. I am going to ask you one more time. What equal share are you asked to show? Remember the vocabulary words halves and fourths. How can you show these equal shares? How? Of course, it's easy. You need to draw lines to divide the sandwiches. Look above and you can see that the first sandwich, you are just asked to divide it into halves. And the other one, you are asked to divide it into fourths. Okay? How many halves should there be? How many? There should be 2, not fourth. And how about in another one? How many? It should be 4. 4 equal parts with the same size. Okay? Now, I will ask you, if you were hungry, would you want a bigger piece or a smaller piece? Can you give me your answer? Is it a smaller? You want a smaller? Or you want a bigger one? Okay, let's name a person. Okay, if you are, for example, Eman. Are you there, Eman? Okay, let's say if Eman is hungry, should you eat more or less of the sandwich? What do you think, Eman? Of course, you want to eat more of it. Understood? Okay, now how will you divide the first one? Okay, just draw a line from up to down here. So you can see 1, 2. How about in another sandwich? You are going to divide it into fourths. So 4. 1 and then 2. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. Understood? So this is 1/2 of the sandwich. Where is that? The one I circled is the 1/2 of the sandwich. Understood? And this also, this is a 1/2 of the sandwich. If you are hungry, Eman, would you eat the 1/2, the one I circled, and or the 1/4, the one I also circled? Would you rather eat which one? Of course, great, it's correct. 1/2. You should eat 1/2 of the sandwich. Okay, did you understand now? Did you understand? You have to divide two same size shapes into halves and fourths and found which has larger equal shares. Can you decide now? Which one is bigger? Larger means bigger. The 1/2 or the 1/4? Of course, this 1/4. You can circle it now here. Can you see the one I circled? Okay, very good. Okay. Then this page, it will serve you as an example on how you are going to do the next pages of our lesson. Okay, so here's the answer of our 829. You can pause the video so you can write and answer your book properly. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go to page 830. Okay, on 830, there is a question there. Okay, you have there, show me. Okay, David has a sandwich. Is half of the sandwich more or less food than 1/4 of the sandwich? What would be your answer? Okay, what would be your answer? Okay. Okay. So let's try to see your answer after we will cover everything here. Okay, I will flash the answer after this one. So let's move on. Okay. Circle the shape that has more equal shares. And you are going to put X on the shapes that has larger equal shares. So let's decide. The number 1, it shows already the correct answer. So the number 1, we have fourths and we have halves. What are we going to do? Circle the shapes that has more equal shares. And put X to the shapes that has larger equal shares. So here, the fourth, you need to circle because it has more equal shares, and the halves, you're going to put X because it has larger equal shares. How about in number 2? Will you circle the halves or put X? Will you circle the quarters or put X? How about number 3? Will you circle fourths or put X? Or will you circle halves or put X? Great. Number 4. What will you do? Quarters. Will you circle it or put X? How about halves? Will you circle it or put X? Now let's check your answer. Okay, there. So what is the question? What is the answer in number 1? Okay. Is half of the sandwich more or less? It is more. Okay, half of a sandwich is larger than 1/4 of a sandwich of the same size. Now I want you to write properly all the answers in your book and do not forget to take picture with it. Understood? Okay, let's move on. Page 831. Number 5, we have this independent practice. Solve each problem. Number 5, draw a line to divide this shape in half. Just draw a line. Number 6, shade 1/4 of this shape. And number 7, draw lines in the orange square to make smaller equal shares that are in the blue square. Okay, let's check your answer now. Here. Again, for you to answer it properly, you can pause the video. Now let's move to our page 832. Okay, we are going to solve each problem. Number 9. Steve wants to cut a pan of cornbread into equal shares. Will the shares be larger if he cuts the cornbread into halves or into fourths? Use the picture to help you solve. Okay, the larger shares will be what? Is it for the equal shares? Is it for the halves or for the fourths? Okay, think of it. Another question, number 11. Joe has two circles of the same size. He cuts one into halves and the other into fourths. Which words describe how the halves compare to the fourths? Okay, you can just shade the letter of the correct answer. Is it letter A, smaller, more? Or letter B, smaller, fewer? Letter C, larger, more? Or letter D, larger, fewer? Okay, let's check your answer. Here, okay, you can again pause the video and write the correct answer properly. I will always encourage you to take picture of each page and send it to our group. I will always check that one, and I have a record for every pages you made. Understood? Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much, grade 1. Okay, you're doing really good job. Okay, that's really commendable. Okay, so all right. So what we will do? This is just the part 1 of our lesson. So see you in our next video, which is the part 2. Understood? So have a great day. Enjoy learning with your mom and do not forget to say thank you. Okay, bye-bye.